Hi everyone, happy Easter. This is Ryan and welcome back to Sentinels of the Future. Today I'm going to do another incredible video of Victor that I last accessed in 2006. It's a point or phrase quantum reversal of one video that was 6 minutes and 12 seconds long. I have many videos of Victor that kind of got lost in the shuffle over the last 20 years and may have done other versions of this one before. But I do not believe I did it in the complete original form because I would often cut out portions of the video where I was talking or Victor was only chirping. So this one remains intact as it was recorded. There is a reason I'm mentioning this, because in Victor's Superconscious Bird Part 2, in Presentation 7, Part 29, he says, in the past, the Budgies have often mentioned how important timing was, and it finally dawned on me that it would be nice if people could see the timer go in the forward and reverse. So I actually embedded a timer in the forward only part that reverses when the file is reversed. This will help you see that everything is on the up and up. You'll also be able to pick a spot on the timer and go to the forward or reverse spot the timer says at the exact time. So I think I'll add this feature to my future videos from now on. There will also be a forward only timer above that will specify the elapsed time of the entire video in both forward and reverse. This will help you to see that I'm not cutting any parts out of the video and it is exactly as it comes as I set up the quantum reversals. Yes, I know there's a lot going on here, but if it's too much, you may want to just go through the captions first and then go back to see how the timers function with the video. So here's an idea of how you can use it.
Why are you saying poor sport? Who's the poor sport?
So in that one there, it was about from 25 I said something, 25 in the forward.
Poor sport? Who's the poor sport?
To 25 to 31 I said something. So now if you go to the reverse and look at the timer, complete that forward mode. Now the timer's counting down. And now I'll play it again and you should be able to hear what I said in reverse there. So I hope that gives you an idea of how to use a timer. And before we hear the video, I would, like usual, to go over what Victor is about to say in this next transcription. In the forward part 1, he says, "You taught me something, something I'll treasure, as we have this tough job. I'll recap it, abetting confusion in the mere questions that we'll start to hear. May this collection find passion always as you try to learn. If you want a moral push forward, this is important for support for this world and part of your mission. You should not seem neutral. There is a reason rising above me from divine vision. We can usually have something really sweet with provable facts in this religion. It's a language for every one of us that will help you to find you'll want to receive something. If you've got a notion to learn what's good, you're in fields."
Nice wings. Very good, Victor. That was excellent talking.
When you say yes to a child, you provide things like better food.
Yeah. No set. So, if you're in.
Take my advice and try not to focus at all on the timers the first time through, or it will make you lose your concentration on the captions and what he is saying. Also, when you come back to it, forget about the upper timer completely and only observe what's going on with the lower forward reverse timer. The upper timer won't make much sense until the end if you're trying to figure out if there is a correlation between the two. Moving on to the next part, this is what he says in part 2. He finished part 1 reverse with, "You're in fields," and then the next part starts with, "that summon you to come and study." Also, are you open before we get mention of this urgent prophecy? There was a mustering of angels. Many of them talked to a talking Budgie who tried to pass on the message. God's helping you, guarding our future, if the world is approaching war or Armageddon. Can you have a world where all will have suffering their entire life? Every time you accept a nation's suffering, you've neglected to accept their right to be and choose a decent life. It's a real evil if you can't grow and evolve emotionally. So we'd like to help solve it here. The angels give some help with your mission.
Why are you saying poor sport? Who's the poor sport? Becky, poor sport?
In part 3, the quantum is mentioned again in the act of observation. Victor also mentions that these messages come from the unofficial thoughts of a Budgie, quantumly passed all around the world. Why do you think he called them unofficial? It's simply because they are not really his thoughts, but thoughts of God and the angels, and he is just the messenger. So in the forward part of 3, Victor says he finished off in part 2 with, "The angels give some help with your mission," and then he starts the forward part of 3, "to prevent bad things from happening. So many have got a job offering to link to God. So we have trying to make this known in a recording to get your attention. If it was our job being a dark sort, we'd avoid prophecy or extort the smartest Budgie. Would you watch a silent Budgie this much? These come to me by the unofficial thoughts of a Budgie, quantumly passed all around the world. The method details that a lot of people find just how it changes life when animals show up to resolve evil with the voice of reason. In every action you'll find, there'll be a reason to challenge your slow evolution. There's no reason to have it so slow. When you know you'll be close to a religion of something God is delivering, you'll find you like to truly know it arrived from God. If you elect to join our channel, you'll find you agree that this is not an illusion." And then I say in reverse, "And I have said what you are observing."
Tell your bird fry joke. That's funny.
Before we go on to part 4, I'd like to go back to the reverse timer again. At 55 seconds, I say in reverse. And I said what you are observing. So if you go back to the timer at 55 seconds in the forward of part 3, making sure you're not in part 4, you will hear me say, "Tell your bird fry joke, that's funny." So here is me saying, you hear what I'm observing. And then if I go back to part 2 at 55 seconds, this is what I'm saying.
Bird fry joke, that's funny.
Don't get confused by the reverse timer there, because it flips pretty fast from the forward to the reverse. So obviously, I'm subconsciously oblivious to what he's talking about. However, in reverse, I'm in communication to him or with him spiritually. The reason I reviewed that last part about observation, where I said in the final part of reverse of the part 3, and I've said what you're observing, is because I think it's important to know that when you're observing something at the quantum level with love and compassion in your heart, you're like an extension of God. As a result, miraculous things can happen just like they do when God and the angels are observing and interacting with us. So now let's continue on with part 4, where he says, "They tell a lot of people this is going to enlighten some with a lot of talk of God making contact. God did request this, and its destiny occurs because something metaphysical is coming. We have to protect the world. If Ryan's having an illusion coming from the stress of life, he's shouldered it well for a long, long time. Ryan tries to surround us with help on this issue. In a way, honor resulting in," and then that'll continue on in part 5.
99 bottles of beer in the wall. Oh, you're talking too fast.
There's a lot of work that goes into these transcriptions, and I'll explain a little bit about the process. First, I have to get the short file, which is just the raw audio file, and embed the timer in it.
Nice wings. Very good, Victor.
Like I've done here. So this particular file, going to the end, without the reverse, is about 6 minutes and 10 seconds long. There's the original file right here. And then once I have the forward file, I've got to do the forward reverse. And then after I do the forward reverse and put the captions in, I add the second timer to the top, which is up here. So this one down here is the forward reverse, and this is the second timer. So each time I do that, I have to make a new video and put it in. But once the original timer is embedded in the forward only version without the captions, there's no way that that timer cannot be correct. So always when I cut it and put it in reverse, that timer will always count down when it's in reverse. So you can be you can be 100% confident that that timer is going to be correct when it's going in reverse, and it will be exactly the same time as when it was set in the forward mode. So I just wanted to make that clear. In the next part, you're going to find out one of the reasons I decided to put the timers in. I believe Victor explains it very well here, so I'm not going to comment too much on what he says. So we finished part 4 in reverse with me saying, in a way, honor resulting in it. And in forward part 5, it says, shall start as you look and stand up and believe him. Are you one scholar who can look at his work? Would you smite this birdie who tries to make this happen? For sure, Victor has been recording, as the culture of this world can't discard proof. For each person who knows this is precious, take on work. Thank you. And in reverse, as we help through Ryan, we have a mission we know will involve so many, and we shall be quick to evolve if you're serious. It progresses with enlightening communication for those who want a forum helping out. That's half of the prophecy. I'm going to time this. When it ends, I will see.
Slow down. You're still talking too fast.
When Victor and I said that was half of the prophecy and we were going to time this, I was pretty confident that we would see something amazing happen at the end. So if you look at the top of the video, the timer says it's about 4:07. So right from the get-go, I knew the entire recording was going to be about 12 minutes long. So I was a little bit confused there. However, at the end, something quite miraculous happens. When we finish, I'll show you what it is. Meanwhile, let's move on to part 6, where he says, in the beginning, he chuckles a little bit, and he says, we'll do it while you're recording. Every time we try, we're hearing more people are supportive, and they enjoy it. You have enough time, so be not so frightened. The timing wasn't made to frighten you. To awake with a world that slowly starves is a world we can't handle. Are you bound to see as you enter it while you watch TV? If the world is sick with no future, we have to do this spiritually. And in reverse he says, yes, we have a challenge ahead. We'll see it form when we reach the sunlight. I'll even show you what awaits in heaven without the evil flourishing in this world socially. And yes, we have a social time in heaven. This knowledge shall be mostly what you believe in some dreams. We'll show you your renewed health, a new life in everything. You'll be young again. So don't forget if you are upset with our prophecies.
That's funny. Yeah, you did a goodie. Yes, you did. Yeah, I'm watching TV. You smell mad. You look really good. You want that?
I think this just became one of my favorite recordings of Victor thus far. For the first time, we're hearing what heaven is like. For example, we have a social life. We have renewed health, and we are young again. That means we also have a physical body. He also talked about not being frightened, because we have time to fix some of these problems before they affect humanity too much. Otherwise, if we did not have time, God and the angels would not be doing this in the first place. When he talks about seeing it on TV, I believe he is saying that we can see the problems developing already. So there are warnings. However, if we do not do something soon, we could wake up to the news of the world in a state that we would not be able to recover from. In the next part, Victor mentions how this video began with the TV playing in the background. This was actually the first time I really listened in forward mode to what it was actually saying, and Victor was making comments about it. There's also a reverse part to it, and it's very interesting. Here's a recap of that.
That was excellent talking.
When you say yes to a child, you provide things like better food.
So here's that part where the TV's talking in forward mode and it's saying something in reverse, which is happens quite often with these recordings. Yeah, I realized that was very hard, especially with both Victor and the TV talking at the same time, but if you spend enough time listening to it, you should be able to hear both what Victor and the TV is saying in reverse. So this is what Victor says in part 7. I'll describe what you'll be watching. Was the right stored by the video, which I knew was taping? I wish I actually had something to pay with. Did you hear angels talking? Then he says, Anthony, how does this bird merge with spirits? Some budgies have much compassion. Some can be worried about sure death and often don't care until they can be free again. They can sing without pleasure and their chords are meaningless. Without pleasure, it's almost like it's right to curse the future. Without question, your activities give you a lot of spiritual evolution. If you have so many issues all the time, what's broken shall follow beside you, and you'll be used to it. In time, life will accept without really questioning it. The soul is always challenging spiritual confusion. We're helping with what we're doing now. If you're helping the evil, I won't be. How we accept everything that's coming might affect you unless you evolve here. You need to search for divine emotions also. Unless you get a spiritual message, you're passing life in every way. Rewind, rewind, rewind. We need to look everywhere to see the answer. And we'll see life's new view that raises the senses you desire. Slowly this helps capturing your dreams. I've seen it too. And you start to hear these prophecies.
Yeah. Nice stretching. What's Betty saying? Turn around so you can see, Anthony can see you. What are you doing? Tell me a story that doesn't matter. Any story you want about anything. Can you do that? Can you tell me something? Do some literature. Like you said once. You want something to play with? What do you want? You going now? He's behind you. Find your reporter. Why are you looking that way?
Crispy Victor. Victor.
I'm we're opening now. Right now, hubby. I know. Now we don't. Hello, we must now. Let's see again. Sure doesn't listen. Nothing like me. You know, now we're here, and you're saying, see that each start to see
I thought it was quite remarkable how Victor used the analogy of how some budgies have love and compassion in their hearts and some don't. He basically says that the ones that don't are worried too much about the future and being in captivity. Even though they may sing and go about their day-to-day routines, their words are meaningless because they don't care about the future. Not caring about the future is almost like they think they have the right to curse it. If you think about it, is much of humanity doing the same thing? Do we accept the fact that the world is doomed and not do anything to try and change it? And by not doing something, are we cursing the world for future generations to come? I think that civilization as a whole needs to rethink what is broken and start questioning what is happening in the world these days. By doing that, we can start to make some changes that can help and have a positive effect on the future. So how do we do this? In the final part, 8, Victor kind of gives us an idea of how we can do it. And he says, "It's never hard when you know our angels call. And yes, they do install in you a linkage you can know here. Treachery is a curse in the world because you're not seeking them. If they haven't been here, what are you into here? You once called the winters hot until you had the great flood. I used to talk in lectures about quality of the sun and believe that you will be striving in the future for good. As a gift, the angels will not give up trying to oppose the evil, as Ryan has. We will need renewed action in religion here, and at any moment a mass of many are coming here with their assistance. God is omniscient, and he is here also. He passionately wants you to try to socially trust Ryan, for he has established what's coming, and God can see his compassion for everything in life. As you review his whole story, he surely gave you the help you needed to begin on this mission from heaven. It's selfish if you can't take in the direction and reasoning. In heaven we accept if he has some faults as well. God didn't expect perfection."
He started out in the cage. What's that?
Lead him closer, Dad.
You finished talking? What's Betty saying? You saying something now? Victor's a pretty bird in the mic, in the camera. Come on, we can't do nothing. Just don't make that noise. Talk. Okay, close enough. Probably can't hear it. Okay. I think he's done. Eating it. Wake up. Very nice. You are.
Dad just told me.
That's the...
So I promised you that I'd have something quite remarkable, if not miraculous, at the end of this recording with regards to the mention of how the prophecy was half over at that particular time in the video. The first thing I did was look at the overall length of the recording, which was about 12 minutes and 22 seconds. A few seconds may have been lost due to the speed at which the video was processing. However, it did not coincide with the timing of the video at 50%, as he set it at 4 minutes. Next, I decided to look at the words for the video. And when looking at the file, the text file in Word, I went down to part 5, where he said that, in reverse, at that point where he said that's half of the prophecy, and I highlighted it to the top to see how many words it was. It said it was 608 words. Not only was 608 a significant number, but it was within one word of being exactly half of the amount of words that were in the prophecy itself. So that was quite amazing. Well, if you go to, there's also a correlation between the number of words and the timing of the video as well. That correlation is that 608 would be the number of 608 words would be almost half of the length of the video, which was 12 minutes and 24 seconds. So I think the number of words was within about 0.001% of the total length of the video, and the number of words in comparison to each other was about 0.9999% accurate. So that confirms to me again that God and the angels are seeing this before I complete them. Otherwise, they would not have known that I would have had those number of words or how long the video was. It also tells me that my transcription must be fairly accurate for them to more or less okay the transcript and the timing like that. This completes this presentation. Thanks for listening. If you'd like to join us, you can come to theangelscrolls.com and click onto the forum link at the top, where we will be adding the newest presentations. Bye for now.